Good afternoon, everyone. So before start, तर आत्ता करंट जे ERP सिस्टीम आहे, I'll have a मराठी हिंदी इंग्लिश थोडंसं कॉम्बिनेशन ठेवूया सो दॅट एव्हरीवन विल अंडरस्टँड. तर आत्ताच्या ज्या ERP सिस्टीम कंपनीमध्ये आहे, ह्या मोस्ट ऑफ द रिपोर्टिंग सिस्टीम म्हणून मोस्टली पाहिलं जातं ERPकडे. आणि जे आता करंटली चाललं आहे की suddenly we are talking about AI, automation and predictive analytics. So I want to start with a slightly uncomfortable question that are most ERP transformation actually successful, or are we just getting better at presenting them as such? So I would like to answer this question from Aditya sir.
डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन आहे. मी म्हणेल की कुठलीही AI सिस्टीम बिल्ड करण्यासाठी किंवा रन करण्यासाठी यू नीड डाटा. सो यू नीड टू हॅव अ डाटा सिस्टीम. ERPs आर more than data system nowadays because of the AI help. But the data system has to be there in place, otherwise you will not be able to run AI models on it.
What's your take on, Kiran?
So depends how far you go back to have a reference point. If you go back 25 years back or 40 years back, we had no systems. Everything was on a khata book, and that's how we recorded all our, and that's how the organizations ran. Compared to that, where we are today, we have definitely transformed ourselves. म्हणजे एक ओव्हरऑल आपली एक देशात ते ट्रान्सफॉर्मेशन झालं आहे वेअर एव्हरीवन इज युझिंग एन ERP. But have we really moved away from an accounting software to an ERP? आणि ERPचा लोकांना फायदा होतो आहे का, ऑर्गनायझेशनना फायदा होतो आहे का? सो आत्ता जे सगळं फोकस आहे प्रत्येक ERPचं is how fast can you integrate their ERP into your current systems. They will tell you it is integrated with as basic as Excel, or it runs on Windows, Linux, it is cloud system. Everything is very easily integrated. But how much is that ERP is changing an organization? Is it actually helping an organization become more efficient? मी जास्त सेशन अटेंड नाही केलेत, पण one of the slides that Bharat Connect had was we have 60 lakh crore of pending payments at any point of time. That's a huge number, right? So that really affects the GDP of this country. And so if a ERP is not solving that problem, then you have your answer like where ERP is today.
Yeah, Aditya.
Yes. Thank you. I think let's go back once to what ERP is. ERP's main objective is supposed to be organizing everything for the company, right? It is enterprise resource. We are talking about planning. So the organizing of entire information of the organization. Why is it important, and why? That's the entire point why ERP exists. Now, ERP helps us. It does help us look at the past, what has happened, how things are happening. Now, the main factor that we have to look at is how much forward can we look through the data, through the implementation of AI. Currently, I see people are more obsessed with implementing ERP, including ERP in their organization, more than first thinking about how their business processes are, what they need to refine. If there is any kind of messiness, if there is any kind of confusion, if you are implementing ERP and if you are putting AI on top of that, it will only scale confusion. So first, the entire industry, before implementing ERP throughout the organization, has to focus on their business use case, how it actually connects with the cash flow and the logic and the financial logic of the organization.
So as per you are saying we should have a proper planning before implementation start.
Yes, we at least should know the systems and process of our own business before automating those.
Correct. That is the value addition.
So your question said like our ERP transformation goes to the successful, like are the transformation successful basically? So I'll give that answer in two parts. Like as an IT department, right? So if we're delivering something, if we're transforming something, then maybe the go live is our last stage, and then we will obviously have the hypercare and post go live activities. So for me, the go live, if everything works fine on the day of go live, that is a success for me. But when you take business side, you need to check if all the employees are using that system, because if you are transforming one side of business to have to you make it digital, and if no one is using, right, even though the go live was a success, then the after post implementation no one is using it, so that is not a success from my end. So it will not give you that revenue, or it won't create that value. So to answer your question, it is more descriptive. It's not yes or no, but it is more on the adoption side basically. So even if we fail, even if our go live fails and that people are still using it, we can still go and fix it. But if no one is using your system, then it is a big failure.
So you mean like whenever we are implementing the ERP, so it's not just a ERP technical implementation, it's a complete mind shift of the people in the organization. They should use the system in a wise way. They should fill the appropriate data in a system. Otherwise, the implementation is 100% failure if there is no mind shift from the people. So before starting the ERP implementation, we have to prepare our peoples to have that mind shift. Because nowadays, if you are giving any additional responsibility to the people, they feel you are increasing their responsibilities. Indirectly, we are trying to save their time. We are helping them to utilize their time in a better places or better opportunities, right? So great to know that. So now we'll talk about the workforce, because that changes faster than ERP ever did. So my question to again to the Aditya sir, that we say cloud ERP enable remote work, but practically are team actually using ERP system, or are they still rely on Excel, WhatsApp, or slide tools? As some of the answer of this question already given by some of you guys, but I want to hear from Aditya ji in a detailed manner.
I have been doing implementation, say I have done almost 100 plus implementations. What I have seen is absolutely what these three gentlemen said is absolutely bang on target. Like what Atharva said, the planning itself is not there, right? What I want to achieve from the system is not clear with either with the people who are driving it, or either with the management who is forcing it. So that is something that needs to be fixed first. If that is not fixed, then people are obviously going to go back to whatever they used to do, whether it is Excel sheet, whether it is notebook, whether it is in mind, whether it is nowhere, right? So it is always going to be that scenario. So everybody touched upon some portion of the answer of this question. Again, the ERP should not become another Excel, right? ERP has much more capabilities than an Excel sheet, right? So we have to utilize those capabilities, those strength of it to bring out betterment in our business. So Excel is not bad.
Correct.
Right? Excel has its own limitation.
Correct.
As I always say, that no system is bad. It's only the people who are going to use that tool are going to decide whether that system is success or failure.
Correct.
Right? It's always going to be like that way.
Got you.
I think any system should take care of a couple of things. ERP today mostly are focusing on either the audit part of it or the compliance part of it. But I think other important points to note here are along with compliance, you should have very good communication. You should have very good governance, ease of use. And like the workforce has to be at the center of it. See, WhatsApp, email, whatever it is, they are a mode of communication that people find very easy to use. So if ERP has to replace something like that, it has to take that ease of use and integrate into its own system. Right now we put ERP at the center, whereas it should be the organization at the center of everything, right? ERP is just doing its job of making sure that everything works for the benefit of the organization. So that is my 2 cents about it. That and to answer your question, I think we are still on WhatsApp and email. With the advent of SaaS industries, SaaS companies, and now in today's AI world, slowly we are connecting everything to ERP and trying to have various modules around ERP. Like we'll have a CRM, we'll have a CMS, we will have some delivery operation or supply chain management software, which is communicating to ERP through APIs and stuff like that. That's also an okay way, I feel. But if an ERP has to actually work for an organization, it has to be at the crux of everything.
So taking this on, he mentioned the workforce being the center. I think essentially, if you look at it, humans naturally are resistant to change. Maybe every time it's the convenience that they choose. So we need to first, there's a very famous framework in startups these days. It's called jobs to be done. So you need to understand what is the job for which anything is going to be used. A car's job is to take you from place A to place B. Now adding luxury to it, adding features to it is add-on. It's not the baseline, it's not the core product. So entirely going back to the basics, going back to the fundamentals, everybody has to think, who is the user? Human is the user, and we have to build for humans, workforce. So what happens is, whatever is convenient, in this case, WhatsApp is convenient because it is a part of their daily life. So now if you look at all the exhibitors, most of them who are talking about task management, attendance, payroll, automations, you'll see a word WhatsApp. Everybody is integrating WhatsApp. Because you are trying to be a part, that is the conversion. There is less friction. You want user adoption to be high. You want them to spend more time on your tool. So you are now, the friction at core, the friction is being reduced. Whatever, today the way is maybe integrating WhatsApp. Tomorrow it could be something different. But at core, it is reducing the friction for the user. And connecting this back to what he specifically mentioned, workforce has to be at the center for development of anything. And workforce, as the workforce changes, the culture of the company changes. With the cultural changes, the processes change. To bring in new processes, to improve the current processes, and to improve from the past. There, ERP helps. But the leaders have to be focused on what is the past data saying, and how do I look forward to this, and how do I build solutions that help me in future, that help my organization grow in future. So I think integration is okay, but the industry has to dedicate itself to, we will solve, no matter what happens, we will solve the job, for the product for what it is actually meant for, not fancy it up with some kind of features. Yeah.
Okay.
I think all the panelists has gave the brilliant answers. So I have nothing to add much more, but I'll just say when we are planning this event, right, Milind sir's team, they kept sending the Excel sheets, the updated version. So each organization had that one master sheet basically. So if your application, if your workforce is able to replace that particular worksheet, right, then your ERP or your application is on top of that. So.
Okay, got you. So here we have to keep the workforce as a central point, and around that we have to make them ready for the system usage. So my next question again here, as most of the entrepreneur who are working using the ERPs, they are they want to automate their day-to-day operation, and while deciding the ERP for their implementation, there is always challenge which one they should go. They should go with the cloud, they should go with the on-prem. So what will be the pros and cons while deciding these two factors?
The biggest con for on-prem is somebody has to maintain it, right? And it has to have an infrastructure built for it. Like you need to have server, you need to have internet, you need to have AC to cool the servers, you need to have some person who is monitoring the servers. whether it is uptime or whether it is the security aspect of it. So that is pretty big additional cost. Another con is because of this, you may not be exposing your on-prem capabilities to people who are actually in the market. Like your sales force might be in your in the market, your service team might be in the market, and they may not be able to access the systems. They have to connect to VPN, and then through that they have to access it. So it becomes hassle for them, right? It's not a smooth experience like people said, WhatsApp, right? So that is a classic example. Why it became so successful? Because it was simple to use, and it was always available to them whenever they wanted to chat with somebody.
Correct.
Right? So that is the major problem with on-prem systems. On cloud, there are, so this becomes pro for call on cloud. The major problem with on cloud is the cloud infrastructure cost. Again, somebody has to maintain it, right? Whether you offload it or whether you are keeping it in-house. Security-wise, maintenance-wise, it remains same, right? The cost might vary, but that portion remains there. But the pros overweigh the cons in that case. So it's always better to have a cloud-based system, whether it is a private cloud, public cloud, that is again debatable. If you are okay with private cloud and if you are okay with that additional cost, you can go with private cloud. Otherwise, public clouds are also very much secure. Like take an example, he is providing cloud services, right? So I'm taking his services, right? So
Great.
I am also concerned about your data because I am anyway custodian of it. He is concerned about my data because he is custodian of his business.
Correct.
So we are too much worried about your data. So don't worry about your data and frankly be tension free about your data, because two people are actually working for you.
Correct. But
one salary.
Correct. But as a like a business owner, everyone has that threat. My data is my oil of the business, right? And
yes, correct. And
if I give it to the cloud provider, what they will do with that data, I'm not sure.
See, I tell my customers that I am not in your business, right? I am in supply chain domain. I am in ERP business. That is my bread and butter. What I will do with your data? I have no value of that data. That data's value is to you, not to me. I don't need that.
Correct.
Right?
So
For him, again, at least for me as a ERP, I might have the supplier's contact details, right?
correct.
For him, it is of no use. So that is the value chain what I'm talking about. And again, you can always have legal barriers to go for it. Even on the on-prem servers, if you don't have that security measures in place, as a service provider, as a ERP provider, I can still extract your data,
Correct.
right? So you need to have better safeguards like NDAs, legal documents, and all those things in place rather than debating about whether on-prem is good or cloud is good.
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
Motor support vendor.
I was waiting for this question so that someone will answer it. Then I will give a bite for CloudPay. So use CloudPay, India's sovereign-focused, India's developed cloud infrastructure platform. Anyways, jokes apart, see, in India we have this culture called, why do I work with you? I was just talking to one of my partners around 8 or 10 years. So he said, I've been working with your organization because you are there. तो हम लोग आधे लोगों के साथ इसके लिए काम करते हैं क्योंकि तू इंसान बहुत अच्छा है.
Correct. Trust
बट वो इंसान प्लेन में चला गया, हार्ट अटैक से गया, कोविड में गया, फ्लाइट में, स्ट्रेट ऑफ हॉर्मज में गया. यू डू नॉट नो वेयर ही विल गो, राइट? So we have to stop this habit in our country of trusting people than trusting the system, right?
Correct.
And so long as that doesn't change, all these questions related to on-prem versus cloud, cloud versus private cloud, public cloud, that will remain. Because if you are going for, again, a bite for CloudPay, if you are going for a SOC 2 certified, ISO certified, Tier 3 certified data center and cloud provider, you know that that organization is following certain protocols, certain procedures which are globally recognized and they are being audited by reputed organizations. So you are, DPDP Act, so all of that, plus at the same time, for your own users, right? Not everyone, like there was a scam there was a malicious software where automatically on someone's, through someone's phone that glorified WhatsApp, you could send APK files to other people, and then their phones were getting affected. And there was a time in 2025 where so many phones got affected. So you have something called as Zero Trust Network, ZTNA as it is called, data loss prevention. There are multiple tools like this which will ensure that whatever happens, the security of data is in your control and it is secure. So people have to focus on these tools, on these systems, where you don't have to rely on anyone. There are multiple stories of cloud, of someone's cloud infrastructure getting hacked, and there are 10x more stories which do not come out of on-premise servers getting hacked and abused, right? I've heard these funny stories of cooperative banks where an ex-employee just took the hard disk and went away. And this has happened, and not too far back, and not too far from here also in Pune. Okay, so you just have to make your systems robust and secure enough.
Correct.
So there were two layers to your question. One, you started with the startups, their preference, and another is which should they prefer. So on the second one, on-prem or cloud, so both have answered about that. I'll go back to the requirement again. If I'm a startup, if I'm a shop, if I need 3 people with me, if my requirements are known, if I have like 5 customers who I personally know, I might not be in great position to invest for an ERP. I have to also think of, when you talk about transformation in ERP, the transformation term should also be associated with the cost that I have paid for that transformation. Then it has been called transformation. So if my ROI is good out of it, then I'll essentially think about an ERP as a startup. Then moving forward, how do I use ERP, or like, do I even use ERP? If I'm a person who wants to build an institutional organization where I have to think more, I have to every day think, how do I scale? I have to think, how do I go to the next number? Everybody does, but if it is at institutional scale, that is where exactly you'll need everything to be organized in order to get the time, free up the time to even think about the future, right? For that, exactly, if it's a startup, the requirement analysis has to be done by the founder itself, then has to think of the company's goals. And if there is a bridge that ERP can, if there's a gap which ERP can bridge in a sustainable manner for that company at that stage without going out of business, in that case, ERP consideration can make sense.
Okay, got it.
So, like, going back to the question and what he said, so if we are going to a small scale industry, right, they might not be able to invest in the big infrastructure for on-premises basically. So the cloud subscription model, which works like cloud pay, right, it works in a positive way basically for the SMEs. So you can just pay for 1 month, pay for 2 months, 3 months. If you know that you're going away, you're not working for, let's say, in December, right? Like all the West is not working in December basically. So if you want to just stop your subscription, you can just stop the subscription for 1 month. So it will save your cost and it will generate as an ROI basically for you. So yeah.
But in terms of cloud, like we cannot stop the subscription, right? If we stop the subscription and if that instance is decays or they abandon that instance, then recovering that data and everything will be the challenge for the business, right?
No, there are different options, right, where you can archive the data. So you don't have to pay that much basically. So
okay. So do you mean this is again a top of question, like every customer has, like if I take the cloud instance, like recently one instance happened in a Bahrain, right? बहरीनमध्ये डेटा सेंटर उडवलं AWSचं, तर त्यांनी सरळ हात वरती केले की तुम्ही काय केलं, फक्त आमच्याकडे इन्स्टन्स बाय केलं आहे आमचे वन टाईम होस्टिंगसाठी, बट तुमच्या डेटा रिकव्हरी किंवा तुमचं काय म्हणतो आपण त्याला सिक्युरिटी नाही, आपण बॅकअप एक इन्स्टन्स घेतो आणखी ॲडिशनल. आय फॉरगेट दॅट टर्मिनॉलॉजी.
डेटा रिकव्हरी.
डेटा नाही, डिझास्टर रिकव्हरी. सॉरी, तुम्ही डिझास्टर रिकव्हरी आमच्याकडनं घेतलीच नाही आहे, तर आम्ही तुमचा डेटा का मेंटेन करू? तर यावरती अक्षरशः बहरीनमधल्या कंपनी होरपळल्या आहे अक्षरशः. म्हणजे त्यांना असं झालं आहे की आम्ही बिझनेस स्टॉप झाले त्यांच्यावाले. आणि जो काय थोडासा डेटा होता त्यांच्याकडे, त्याच्यावरती ते सर्वाईव्ह करत आहे. आणि आम्ही अशा जवळजवळ 8 ते 10 कंपन्यांचा डेटा रिस्टोअर करून दिला, जो त्यांच्याकडे ऑन प्रेमाइज किंवा त्यांच्या अदर कुठल्या सिस्टीममध्ये त्यांनी बॅकअप घेतलेला होता. तर हा एक बिझनेससाठी ऑलवेज प्रॉब्लेम असतो की बिझनेसमॅन डोंट नो. ते म्हणतात क्लाउड दिलं म्हणजे सगळं झालं, आम्ही क्लाउडला आहोत. तर हा एक माहिती आहे की क्लाउड आहे, पण त्याच्याबरोबर तुम्ही डिझास्टर रिकव्हरी प्लॅन घेतला आहे का? जर घेतला असेल तरच तुम्हाला ते सर्व्हिसेस मिळतील. अदरवाईज जो इन्स्टन्स तुम्ही घेतला तेवढाच आहे, त्यातला डेटा गेला, क्लाउड प्रोव्हायडरची कुठलीही रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नसते. तर हा एक ॲडिशनल पॉईंट्स आपण सांगितला
Just to
पाहिजे.
add,
Three countries were fighting with each other.
Correct.
If you keep on premise, even if you are fighting with your neighbor, there is a chance of data loss.
Correct.
So the magnitude of the situation was so huge, and that is the case where you lost a data in the data center.
Correct.
On-prem systems can never be that secure. Yeah.
Again, he rightly said की क्लाउड वर्सेस ऑन प्रीम, शेवटी सर्व्हर तो सर्व्हर आहे.
बरोबर.
Right? तो ट्रम्पनी उडवला काय किंवा अजून कोणी
कोणी
उडवला काय,
उडवलं काय? बरोबर.
तो उडवणारच आहे, उडणारच आहे. आणि त्याचा जर बॅकअपच्या रिकव्हरीज जर तुम्ही सर्व्हिसेस, आता व्हॉट यू सेड, आय हॅव नॉट टेकन द बॅकअप ऑर डिझास्टर रिकव्हरी सर्व्हिसेस. इफ यू डोंट टेक इट फ्रॉम द सर्व्हिस प्रोव्हायडर, यू हॅव टू हॅव सम पर्सन हू इज डुईंग दॅट.
करेक्ट.
Whether it is on-prem or cloud,
Cloud.
right? Doesn't matter.
Correct.
If you don't do that, there is no way that you are going to recover data, whether it is a fight or whether it is a bomb or whether it is a water
Anything.
leakage,
Any disaster.
or whether there is a mice infiltration.
करेक्ट.
राईट. तर तो प्रॉब्लेम म्हणजे तुम्ही कसाही सॉल्व्ह करू शकत नाही जोपर्यंत तुम्ही सर्व्हिसेस त्या विचार करून घेत नाहीत. मी आय विल गिव्ह यू वन एक्झाम्पल. देर इज अ ह्यूज बिग MNC कंपनी हू इज इन टू पेंट बूथ मॅन्युफॅक्चरिंग, प्रॉब्ली एव्हरीबडी नोज द नेम. त्यांच्याकडे SAP आहे, त्यांच्याकडे ऑन प्रिम आहे सगळ्या गोष्टी. वन फाईन डे देर ऑल ऑन प्रिम सर्व्हर्स वेअर करप्टेड. गॉड ओनली नोज वाय, राईट. दे ऑल्सो डोंट नो वाय. दे डोंट हॅव बॅकअप, दे डोंट हॅव एनिथिंग. दे वेर कॉलिंग सप्लायर्स की तुमच्याकडे किती माझे परचेस ऑर्डर्स पडलेत रे बाबा, तुमचे किती पेंडिंग पेमेंट पडलेत रे बाबा, हे सांगा मला. सो दिस वॉज द सिच्युएशन ॲट देअर एंड, राईट. बिकॉज दे डिडंट डू देअर होमवर्क प्रॉपरली. That's why they were into that particular problem. So it's all about whether you, again, as I said, if you use Excel, if you use AI, if you don't give proper data input, it is going to give you junk output. The same situation is here also. If you don't actually do disaster recovery mechanism setup in your organization, you can lose your Excel sheet, you can lose your data hard disk also. Right? So that is a
So it's a plan of like a planning, like before starting implementation of ERP, you should have all these thought in your roadmap so that you will be secured in all terms. So now I'll come to the
just to add there, right? Like Oracle, we are building applications in Oracle Apex, right? So if you go for free version, there is no data recovery. But if you go for the paid version, right, there are multiple availability zones. So अगर इराक में आपका डेटा सेंटर है, वहाँ पे उड़ा दिया, still the backup will be stored in the Mumbai's data center. So you get that flexibility there, which is not possible in the on-prem.
But again, on your question, there will be a compliances issue, right? You cannot store my data out of the region or out of the country.
Yeah.
So that kind of compliances are there in cloud services. So we need to take care of that.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing the input on this. So I'll come to the like a most powerful question, that is everything is AI powered. So what's your take on that? Like whether are we doing a real ERP into the real intelligence, or we are doing some part of automation and we are portraying that as a AI automation?
So I'll answer this. So basically I'm scared of AI. Like अगर कोई development कर रहा है, right? So you give the code to the AI and you ask them, okay, modify this. He'll give you the updated code, but वो कहीं पे और कुछ change कर देगा, and you will never know it. Basically, if there is no proper version control, right? So it is advantageous to at some point, but हाँ अभी जो आपका question है, like we are mostly using OCR and then that optical character recognition, right? And we're saying that okay, we are using AI, so that is like वैसे थोड़ा वो बड़ा चढ़ा के बोलने का ये चल रहा है अभी थोड़ा क्रेज है.
ऑर्डर क्लोज करने हैं ना, टारगेट अचीव
एग्जैक्टली
करने हैं.
एग्जैक्टली हाँ वैसा. सो वही टेक है.
I think I'll give an example. Specifically, I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Question is that like we are saying everything is AI powered, right? So whenever we are doing some business automation and we treat that as a AI powered, we tell customer like this is AI powered. But are we doing a really AI enabled intelligence where AI will take automatic decision? It will give you a real insight from the system, or just tweaking with the some automation part?
Thank you. So, if I'm an e-commerce company, for instance, currently, when we talk about, so if it gives me a report, if the weather is bad today, wherever my order has to be, it has to ship and it has to be delivered, if the weather on that route is bad today, and if my ERP gives me that report, if my AI gives me that report, it is just a report, it is just a weather report, it is not an insight, or it is not acting on our behalf to actually give solution for that situation. So what I look at in terms of AI is, in case if that AI predicts the routes where the weather is not good, and if it allocates an alternative route to ensure that my customer gets its order delivered on time without a delay, if that kind of solution, if that is the kind of use case, these AI systems can generate, allocate, and on top of that, agentic AI is in the picture. If this entire ecosystem, along with each other, can solve for real business use cases and do the action, take the action with the judgment, of course, with certain limitations to the judgment. But if that is something can be done, that is already being done. But when you talk about if majorly, I think it's more of automation being marketed as AI in ERP.
Yeah. So to add to what he said and what you said as well, basically we are calling RPA AI. That process automation is basically AI, but and he is expecting AI to be more agentic, right? It should have some sort of autonomy to act on its own, become more intelligent and more useful to the end user or the organization. Today it is not happening, but you can see the signs of it happening across multiple ERPs also. And surprisingly, even the Indian-made ERPs are making an effort to solve that problem. So how you have to look at it is, as of today, AI not there, but people at least are showing intent when they say, ki, we want to provide AI. See, ultimately everyone has an investor relation to maintain, and you have to put cloud when cloud was in trend, you have to put AI when AI is in trend. But eventually everyone will reach there. There are already signs of that happening, and very aggressively. So you will not see it next year or next decade. You will see in this year or probably next quarter, and that's how things are changing quickly. So the ERP will sit at the bottom. There will be an AI layer on top of it. There are companies like, for example, Databricks. I was talking to someone from their organization. They're trying to solve the same problem. See, you can't blame the ERPs also, why they've not yet become agentic or AI. So in the first two questions, that's what we were discussing, that people are still on WhatsApp and Excel, and people are still averse of feeding the ERP enough data, enough accurate data for it to work on it, understand, and then act on it intelligently, right? If you have given half story, it can't work on a full story. So the slowness is partially because of the limitations that the people of the organization itself has. So if that becomes more accurate, the agentic stage of AI, we will reach much faster and much earlier than we are thinking today.
Okay, so for sir, I have another question. Like you are doing already some ERP implementation, right?
Right.
And in that you might have implemented AI as well at some places. So have you come across the scenario where AI technically giving a correct answer, but practically it is not?
There are multiple situations like that. Classic example, uh, Tesla cars, right? They have all AI inside it. That's what they claim. It's route optimization, which is a method living in numerical methods from, I would say, before my birth. So almost 50 years before. I am just 40 years. Uh, so
Sir
all
told
these,
easy as
so I have to say that. So these methods are actually been living there from so long. These are all AI ML, what we call it as. ChatGPT made it accessible to everybody. You will not believe that I did my master's project in IIT Delhi using simulated annealing, which is a ML method. Right? So simulated annealing is known to manufacturing guys. But that is a software method, numerical method also. So this was in 2003 time frame. Right? You will not believe that whatever ERP we have a agent sitting in there, which is, we call it as EVA, which was developed in 2021 when no ChatGPT was there. So people have been doing all these things. It's the problem that now because of the ChatGPT, it has become,
Easy for
it is
the
known to everybody.
Correct.
And without understanding where I can apply AI, people are talking about AI. सर इसमें AI है क्या? तो ERP वाले को भी बोलना पड़ेगा हाँ सर इसमें AI है.
Automation कर दो, ये AI बन गया.
हाँ, correct. Because people don't understand where actually the AI powers should be used and where it has to be used. I was giving Tesla's example. Like the car has all the AI powered navigations and everything. So if you don't tell it that where I want to go, it will sit at that position only where there is AI or there is no AI.
No AI.
Right? So that is the situation. Like 3-4 years back, you might have heard about blockchain. People were so hyped about blockchain that everywhere they wanted blockchain without understanding where I should be implementing it. Right? So that is where we have to, people like us, have to educate the masses where to apply AI and where not to apply AI, where to think about AI, where not to think about AI.
Correct. So human intervention should be there.
It's always going to be human in loop.
Correct.
Right? AI, it's artificial intelligence. You cannot replace the human judgment, human intelligence in any case.
Correct.
Right? It is going to resolve your mundane work. It is going to eliminate your mundane work, or it is going to do repetitive work what you are not liking to do. So that is where you should use, and again, it is not AI. It is RPA exactly.
Correct.
It is robotic process automation.
Correct.
It's automating that process so I don't have to do it. I don't have to read the Excel sheet and then create the graphs about it. I can give it to ChatGPT and ChatGPT can easily do it. Right? It is not AI. It is absolutely not AI. If I'm finding out new strand using the computational models, which is AI, then that becomes something use of AI. So if it is giving me any prescriptions, if it is giving me feedbacks, then that becomes artificial intelligence, which I can use and then I can take my further actions.
ग्रेट ग्रेट टू नो दॅट सो माझा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन आहे जसं आपण आता ऐकतोय जिथे सगळीकडे की ERP इज गोइंग टू रिप्लेस डेव्हलपर्स ॲज वेल ॲज इट इज गोइंग टू इट अ लॉट ऑफ जॉब्स सो विल AI is going to replace the lot of job, right, in the industry. So will AI replace the ERP system in next 5 years?
I don't think so. I don't typically think so because see, any tool which is given to you is going to help you to become better version of yourself.
Correct. It's making a better version of
Right?
ourselves.
Typewriter went away and computers came
Computers came in.
in. Right? So, but typewriter वालों का job गया नहीं ना, वो computer पे shift हो गया.
Correct.
Right? So that is how it is. We have to become innovative to make ourselves more useful
To the industry.
to the industry. So AI is absolutely not going to replace the jobs. Yes, but those people who are lazy to change their ways of working, surely their jobs will be replaced.
Um, See, basically, ERP, whatever popular ERPs we have today, they have been codified with so much knowledge. See, finally, in India, we have this concept of customization. We don't like ERPs which don't let us customize, right? So we love ERPs which help us customize, but you have to understand that behind that the monolithic SAP, monolithic probably Indian version Ramco, all of these companies have exported the art of making how an ERP should look for an organization. They have worked with 10,000 employee, 50,000 employee organization to develop something like Ramco, a 100,000, 500,000 employee company. And that's how SAP came into being. And you are getting the same idea, like you are using the same kind of product, right? So our knowledge or AI's knowledge about that, it's not going to replace our ERP system. But as I said in the discussion earlier, the AI will sit over the ERP,
As an additional layer on the ERP.
additional layer, and then it will help interface between the person and the ERP.
Correct. So now we'll move ahead with the rapid fire, and you have to quickly answer one word. Everyone, like each one will get 1 point. Like I'll start with you. One ERP trend you think is pure hype.
So AI in ARP was a pure hype. That's what I thought. But since Oracle's 21,
One word only.
Dashboard as the
No.
dashboards.
You will get another question.
Yes.
One thing vendor oversells. One thing vendor oversells in ERP. What is that one thing vendor oversells?
Everything is seamless.
Okay.
Is what they oversell.
Okay. One thing customer underestimates. It's relevant to you only.
The customer's inability to accept systems.
Accept system, correct. And one bold prediction for the next 5 years.
It's going to be wonderful. Technology is changing too rapid, so we have to also change that rapidly.
Okay. Thank you guys. Thanks for your time today. We'll wrap up the session.
Absolutely, that is in place. So I know I have difficult customers, so I have to take it in place. Hmm.
So what's your support from your side, guys? You are the expert over there. And how to force to the employee to implement or use it in ERP process? Because as I am an SME, it's a very difficult to us
Correct.
to shift Excel to ERP and AI.
So just I'll answer to his question. See, instead of yes,
Mine is much simpler, and that's why I took the mic.
I'll just give me.
ERP of Aditya, and we are discussing every time how to resolve it. But now we are in struggle.
Give the serious answer later. Mine is very funny. I think every ERP should now change their tagline to पहले इस्तेमाल करे फिर विश्वास करे.
Correct. That is absolutely right. And I always tell you that don't force employees because they might have some genuine reason of not using the systems. So we have to find out that reason and we have to make sure that that reason is eliminated rather than that employee is changed. That is what my take is, and I always say to you that same thing. It takes time. Definitely, I understand your frustration from the management perspective that I have put a system, but then why people are still using Excel, because Excel is something very easy to manipulate, very easy to change, right? I can do as I please to do. Systems are not meant that way, and systems are not meant for that way. Systems are meant to make sure that the processes what you put in your organizations are followed. And people are always going to find out loopholes in everything, right? So we have to plug those loopholes, make the systems simpler enough for them to use. we have been talking with each other quite a long, and we have been simplifying the processes also. Still, there is a long way to go, and as I always say, ERP is something like a marriage. Every day we have to work together, and we have to make sure that the marriage stays on, the family goes on.
Just to add, right, अगर आपके एम्प्लॉयज़ को एक्सेल में कंफर्टेबल, दे आर कंफर्टेबल इन एक्सेल, राइट, सो योर एप्लीकेशन शुड हैव दैट कैपेबिलिटी कि वो एक्सेल को, आपका एप्लीकेशन ऐसा हो कि इट विल लुक लाइक एक्सेल बट इट इज़ इनटू ERP. सो वी हैव जस्ट सॉल्व सम प्रॉब्लम्स फॉर होटल मैनेजमेंट टीम. उनका बहुत ज़्यादा डेटा एक्सेल पे था, so they are now using our application, and same with the timesheet. So user had that row, unko rows chahiye, they want VLOOKUPs, they want sum operator or average operator or pivot options, right? So your ERP should give that flexibility कि आप वो सब कुछ कर सकते हैं जो आप Excel में कर रहे हैं. So once they see that value, right, they will automatically move pivot to your application. So if you can visit A33 if you like.
So at core, it is friction to adopt something, to adopt to something. So there are layers to ERP, right? If there is a particular change being done on one level, there are multiple layers. So other parameters are in the picture. So if it's Excel, if it's WhatsApp, it is easy interaction for me, or it is, so the interaction and the usability to get the work done. So like I said earlier, I am going to choose an option that is easier for me. So how do you as an organization work with the vendor and create a system where they feel the friction for entry is less, but it is worth enough for their work. It has to be worth enough for them to use that ERP. So maybe even a conversation of business outcomes and their work outcomes, performance linked outcomes of using it, and the transparency into the system can help with the what the advantages are.
Sorry, I was not going to add, but I felt like, so what he was saying is absolutely true. The immutability of ERP is very important, which Excel doesn't provide. And again, showing the value, that was our first question, that, you know, are the ERP implementation actually successful? The parameter of measuring an ERP has to change, of how an organization helped ERP become more efficient and perform better. So yeah, I think you have to show the value to each and every employee, that how their work reduces. With initial hiccup, a little bit more effort at the start of it, but after that, their life only becomes easier.
Yeah, so here the final fact, I'll just closing statement. So it's all about intention. So either that person is not using that system because he is facing a challenges to give the right report to the system. So in that case, as a owner, we should sit with that particular person, understand the pain points from him, give that input to the ERP vendor who is working with you, and get that solved and make that person aligned with the system. You should use this system. But if he intentionally avoiding, then you need to kick him out. That's the last option. Because without that, we cannot make the system efficiently used in our organization. And every organization, such a kind of people are there. And even we are doing similar kind of implementation. We face every software. You bring any kind of system, you will have the resistance from the people. So we have to understand the reason behind that resistance and make them enable them for that situation. That's it. Thank you.